All right. Nothing like a little Christmas elf soundtrack to get everybody started. Hope everyone's doing well. Welcome to I don't know how many we've done of these at this point, but the December Hug. Obviously, a little bit different context, not hosting it at our office downtown, but doing virtual amidst the craziness of the pandemic. So thanks everyone for making some time out of their day to kind of attend, especially during lunch. And yeah, I think today really excited just to go over and do I think high level overview of the Sales Hub. It's something that I know at PCR we're really excited about with a lot of the updates, feature, requests that have been received and implemented. It's really starting to compete, in our opinion, even on an enterprise level, with Salesforce and some of the other kind of larger CRMs that you would be typically using. So, I think high level, we're excited to review, kind of what the features are, what some of the key differences are across, seats, what that would look like, and then we're going to spend a little bit of time and have a live demo of actually the PCR Sales Hub. So, and just as a kind of a protocol, a little bit of my background, and I'm sure some of you guys have seen with the Spotify 2020 year in review. Kind of went through and did that. If you haven't, I definitely recommend checking it out. They do obviously on the podcast and kind of on the music. I don't think I'm quite comfortable with everyone to do the music, so I don't get judged. So decided to do the podcast. I'm a big Tim Ferriss fan. Been listening to him for a long time, and the All In podcast is really neat if you want to get any insight into more of like kind of venture capital. A lot of really incredible business owners and venture capitalists are on that. And then the Knowledge Project's amazing. He just really deconstructs kind of like learning and knowledge. And then Morning Brew and the Business Casual is another one. They have great guests, and it's a daily newsletter that I would definitely check out if you can. They actually just got bought by Business Insider after just a few years in business. And if anyone has podcast recommendations, I'm always down to check out new podcasts. It's something I love to do. So, a little background on myself, besides my love of podcast, is grew up in Jacksonville. I just moved back about a year and a half ago. Went to kind of high school here. Went to college in Florida as well. Funnily enough, my first job out of college was with the Jaguars before starting PCR. I was a very lowly intern, but it was a really fun experience and something I'm grateful for. And then founded PCR in 2007. So about 13 and a half years ago. At that time was really convincing people not to advertise on the yellow pages and the need to build a website. And so obviously things have changed quite a lot over the evolution of, kind of PCR and our company. And I've done a fair amount of, speaking at an Inbound a number of times, Google Startup Weekend, even, kind of locally, with the Chamber and American Marketing Association with JAMA. And yeah, I think just excited to kind of be here. And, I think our main goal of these hugs is to just be very informational, spread, I think, the knowledge that we have of HubSpot. We're a platinum partner of theirs. We've probably onboarded 40, kind of plus of accounts onto the platform. We're big advocates of what they do, both on the marketing and the sales side, and have a high level of familiarity. And so we kind of take this on to spread it, kind of more in the Jacksonville community, be able to really have a place, environment, vehicle that everybody can, kind of engage and learn a little bit more. And so the whole, goal of today is really to be, kind of as informational as possible, educational as possible, and kind of feel free to jump in, ask questions as we're going through everything. So, what is Sales Hub? Again, like I said, what's included in the different tiers, and then we'll allow some time for Q&A if anybody does kind of have questions as they're going through. Um, and I think what we at PCR really think about as is the business as this kind of flywheel. Everything that we kind of do and touch, we try to really remove ourselves away from general tactics and more not, oh, what's your social media, what are you doing with SEO, what's your pay per click, but who are we targeting and where are they at in the overall kind of life cycle kind of stage. So the full funnel kind of marketing is always been our kind of fundamental approach for clients. And the 6+ years that we've been with HubSpot, this has only kind of further substantiated that. And so the main goal of any kind of marketing campaign or initiative is, how do we turn these strangers that are not familiar with your brand or your company into engaged prospects, into engaged customers, and then obviously delight those customers to turn them into kind of promoters. And it is that what HubSpot uses a lot with the flywheel kind of terminology is it continues to kind of build off of itself and builds that kind of momentum, because the job isn't done once you've driven the traffic. Job is not done once you've kind of collected the lead. It's definitely not done once they become a customer. And so when we look at anything from a marketing perspective, we really are looking at that full funnel, kind of across the board. Obviously, the more that spends, the more that is innately kind of growing, and it does really kind of build upon itself. Those promoters can be incredible referral sources, so that you can get even more prospects into the funnel and nurture them all the way through. And so with any flywheel, any thing that's obviously kind of spinning, there's two things that you can do to promote that growth. You can add more force to it, or you can remove kind of friction to make it that much easier. And for us, as we look at it from like a sales perspective, they're very, very good at applying the force kind of equation. And I'm in sales. I've been in it kind of all my life. I think sales tends to have a very negative connotation of everyone thinks about the kind of the used car salesman that's really trying to hawk their kind of car, calling you nonstop, telemarketers on the phone and won't take no for an answer. What I think we're seeing in this day and age, where we have more and more information widely available to us, is customers have a lot more control over that sales process than they ever have. And so the force equation can still be there, but we feel like it's becoming less and less important in the overall kind of sales ecosystem, strategy and methodology. But the friction still exists in every aspect of sales. From a general efficiency, you want your salespeople out there selling and doing what they do best. The problem is they're really only spending about 35% of their time actually selling. Whether it's doing the research, doing a lot of the administrative kind of task and follow up. That's limiting their ability to do what they do best and what's going to have the biggest kind of impact for your company. And I think what is happening, especially in the B2B space that we're seeing, is this stat is very alarming, where 60% of them of the buyers actually distrust the integrity of the salespeople. So there's a lot that needs to happen in order to kind of overcome that. And then I think the final aspect that we see is the learning kind of component, where about half of them say they're actually being actively coached and trained, but there's a big disconnect where the sales leaders or the sales managers are claiming about 82% of them are actually kind of training. And so across the board, we're seeing these inefficiencies. We see these as very large kind of opportunities, and the more your sales team and as an organization, kind of modernize is to, kind of figure that out, the more that you're going to put yourself in a really good position to close, kind of more business, and obviously, kind of achieve that top line growth that you're looking at. And so, what we love, from a HubSpot, kind of perspective, is this idea of frictionless selling. How do we allow the team, the sales team, to be doing what they do best of selling? How do we allow management to train those salespeople more effectively and give them more knowledge and education and templates and processes to work with? And then, I think finally that will allow the buyer to trust the company, trust the salespeople, because they're more knowledgeable, because they are spending more time, helping and adding value versus going out there and just trying to get the sale and get the close. And so there's as a follow-on, there's a really good course with a test, kind of at the end, around frictionless selling that we will share as an email follow-up with everyone. But I think this idea of making it simpler, making it easier for your sales staff, and utilizing technology to be able to achieve that is really the main goal of what we want to kind of put together today. And so that framework that I've kind of talked about is just enablement, so they can focus on that selling, aligning the team kind of with the buyer's needs, and then how do you really transform your overall culture to continuous learning. It's For me, how I even came across HubSpot in the first place was a blog, which I'm sure a lot of people have a similar story. I mean, they're very, very, and I think they do an incredible job of marketing, not only just like themselves, but giving you tons and tons of rich, kind of knowledge and data, whether it becomes, kind of marketing automation, sales automation, or the technology itself, or even just scripts and things that are tangential to the overall program. And so there's a lot of stuff that we can take from that and then apply it for our clients, apply it to even us, as a collective agency. And so what does that look like? What are those tools from that enablement, kind of standpoint, so that they are, kind of focusing on the overall sales. What we really like is you can streamline the, kind of sales outreach. And what we see with our, clients' organizations, what I've even personally witnessed, it is a pretty steep learning curve from when you hire that new rep to when they're able to actually be out there and selling. And so how do we, kind of streamline as much of that as, kind of possible? And so what are those day-to-day tasks and what do they, tend to look like? They're placing calls, they're sending emails, they're sharing documents, they're scheduling meetings. And a lot of times they're able to, with HubSpot, you can do all of this directly in your, Google Business Suite and Gmail. You can do it in Outlook, or you could be in the HubSpot tool itself. And all those different things that they're doing, we can really start to streamline, kind of that outreach, with those meetings, with those templates, with snippets, with email sequences. For myself, one of the biggest headaches or pains was scheduling. And so I use the HubSpot calendar, kind of booking option. And it seems small. It might be just like a few back and forths of like you giving time, they come back with time, creating the cal invite, adding Zoom, doing all of that. But that adds up. And I can tell you for me, personally, it's a huge lifesaver. And if anything, I think when I receive it on the other end, I'm really happy because I don't have to do the back and forth. So a lot of people, I think, were a little nervous that it depersonalizes the kind of communication, but I think people appreciate saving the time, and that makes things that much better. And so with these sequences, with these kind of calls, these emails, we could really get someone, I think, kind of up to speed with a template that they could apply. They add their own tone, voice, and language to it. And then this can be kind of directly built out, like we said, in HubSpot, in Gmail, in Outlook. And they can kind of contextualize it to who they are as the rep, and make edits and changes. But at least they're going in with like what is the best email, template to book that meeting? What is the best email, sequence, to take a warm lead to kind of close? And you can build those and even track across the sales organization to see which ones are kind of most effective. So the sales enablement, I think, is a huge value add that HubSpot has been relentlessly spending time, kind of putting together and really releasing feature after feature after feature to make that as kind of smooth as possible. And then the biggest thing is we don't want to reinvent the wheel. We don't want you to have 50 different software tools that you're logging into. Um, they really have done a lot around deep integrations with 200 plus, even from kind of LinkedIn to Zoom to Air Call, which is just a ability to kind of track and transcribe and make phone calls. But it's one system of record that you log into to be able to track all of that, as opposed to going to Google Calendar, going to Outlook, going to your call tracking system, going to Zoom, going to LinkedIn. Like, all these things are integrated so that you could really just log in, or your sales rep could log in with one view of kind of their activity, what's going on, and then even with management, having that oversight with reporting and dashboard as well. We find to be really beneficial for our clients. And so that's a lot around kind of the enablement. And we'll do, like I said, we will have a live demo to you can see in HubSpot directly. Kind of play around with it, see what the tools look like, and anybody has questions at all, as always, feel free to stop me. And then on the align, we really want to just, I think they use this word very intentionally around, like, ruthlessly, prioritizing what your buyer's needs are, and not just using the same script and talking about benefits and features without truly understanding who the buyer is and what are they looking for. And so with the alignment, we're really able to extract a lot of rich context that allows us to better understand who the buyer is, on a contact level, but also on a company level too. So what is the history of that contact? Any pertinent kind of like demographic information, business graphic information. I don't know if business graphic is actually a word. I might have just made that up. But anything kind of around the business itself that might be helpful to kind of lead that prospect down the funnel. The predictive lead scoring is amazing, so that they have a little bit of a machine learning kind of aspect to it, based on the actions that the prospect is taking. What is the likelihood that you will close that business? And then the sales notification itself, when they're maybe on the site, or looking at emails, or looking at specific pricing pages, you get those alerts, and get that understanding so that you can respond in kind of real time. And then obviously, again, it's all built directly kind of within the tool. So this will be covered, I think, a little bit in the demo as well, but just helpful to kind of get a screenshot there on what do we mean by alignment, and what are we going out to kind of accomplish. And then just the tools, multi-prong kind of communication. I think we're seeing that more and more. Maybe someone prefers email, someone prefers call, someone prefers live chat. You want to make sure that that's all kind of consolidated, and we are meeting those prospects where they're at, as opposed to dictating to them where they need to be. And then I think that very important component is being able to record, send, track, even the personalized video content, whether it's kind of through HubSpot itself, or the various kind of integration partners as well. But as you can see over on the right, we have email, we have chat, we have that kind of view, for the sales rep, so they could be able to look at everything in one place, which we really like and feel like is quite nice. And then what, it's not just getting the meeting, getting the phone call, but getting it across kind of the finish line. And so depending on your product offering, how do we again remove as much friction as possible? So we use the e-sign kind of feature where you're able to kind of have that natively kind of integrate, and so that it is one click, very easy, versus I'll date myself a little bit where, we actually had clients like fax the sign proposal over, a little bit longer of a sales process and a little bit more friction. These days they can just click on it, you know, within, 10 seconds, have a signed proposal and contract in your inbox. And, that has that native integration. If it's something that you do where you collect credit card information, you can have Stripe, directly connected to, which is really nice. And it can all trigger. Once they've signed this contract, then we send the Stripe link for them to put in their credit card information. Or once they've, we've moved it from a proposal stage to a closed deal, it can generate a sequence of emails, sending that e-signature or sending that payment information, or alerting the accounts team or client service team to let them know that the deal has been closed, and then an email needs to be sent, or you can even automate that initial email. So friction is being reduced across the board at every kind of step of the way from kind of that sales process. And then again, it's showing that the details, the buyer, that information. Do you need to have that connected kind of Stripe account, or kind of something along those lines. And then, so we've really covered the enablement. We've covered the alignment. I think the final component is these tools are great, but they're only going to be as good as the people that are using them. And so I think for us, the educational component, having that culture of learning and continual education is incredibly important. And I think from our kind of perspective, there's a lot of really cool things available within HubSpot and the portal and the tool that you could really be leveraging. The main one is the playbooks, and really it helps you document, share best practices around what are those specific selling scenarios. Because as we know in sales, it isn't all just like cookie cutter. Here it goes. And then you're following kind of along that path. It can be different on a case by case basis. So let's show those scenarios as they kind of come up, and turn what could be a problem into a really great kind of educational opportunity. And then the second component is, if you're not tracking and measuring, how are you going to improve? And so we have that reporting kind of mechanism that you can put in place to be able to track, have real data when you're giving those one-on-ones, those performance reviews, so that you actually know what is working and what's not, and having tangible evidence to kind of point back to is really helpful. The calls transcription recording, so you can have live calls or recorded calls that you could kind of go through and actually utilize as a training opportunity is really kind of helpful. And again, these playbooks, you can have that all the way from like discovery call to closing call, kind of across the board, and you see a little bit of that kind of highlighted over on the right hand side as a playbook itself, which is really nice. And I think everything you really need to manage that growing team. The thing that I've been most impressed with, I'd say 4 or 5 years ago, the HubSpot CRM or Sales Hub was great for a very small team, and could be utilized if call it less than 25 people. But with the feature updates and everything that they're doing, I mean, in the hundreds, we have one right now with over 130 kind of sales reps that are using this tool kind of directly. And so it's really able to grow and scale as your company grows and scales, which we really like. And it has that kind of like flexible automation where you're changing processes, you're changing teams. Maybe you don't have territories, but then eventually you grow into it where you have multiple kind of managers, multiple territories, multiple teams. You can do lead filtering and cycling kind of across the board. So and then you can really customize those dashboards and that reporting to give you that deep insight very quickly. and then be able to use like team management, kind of features and permissions. As you see over here, a lot of these things are very editable, very flexible on how you apply that and what it would look like. So there's really a few different, kind of options. And you can do the starter, you can do the professional, you can do the enterprise. Um, and, I think there's ways and advantages to each. It really just depends on, kind of what the use case is, and what you need. Obviously they have these, different, kind of tiers that you can, kind of put in place. Obviously, HubSpot put this together as very sophisticated in terms of the actual feature, but the starter does give you ability to kind of like start with a very, that free, kind of version of it. And then if you want more, kind of automation sequences, things like that, goes into more, kind of professional in the enterprise. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it's just like how fast are you really trying to grow, kind of the team and the overall, kind of organization. Um, Kind of looking at this, I don't think those tires would actually make you that much faster. But HubSpot has some visual elements that we will, kind of go with as part of the HUG. I think everybody, kind of gets the idea. I like how they also put metaphor up here, and just in case people don't realize that out of the gate. And so I've talked a lot. I think I'm sure everybody is jumping with excitement around, the demo. I'm going to pass it over to my more than capable, kind of director of accounts, kind of Caitlin, and she's going to walk you through, kind of an actual demo. Again, if you got questions, even you can raise your hand, you can, pop them in the chat. We'll kind of go through, kind of everything. But yeah, excited to just dive, kind of directly in and show you some real, kind of use cases versus just talking about it, kind of high level. So yeah, with that, Caitlin, if you want to.
Thank you. Yeah, I would love to just get an idea as well of, kind of where everyone's at, especially if there's something that they want to focus on specifically within the sales tool. My demo is more of a little bit of a high level of kind of the flow and the from a contact to company to deal to the pipeline and setting it up. But I'd love to know just if anyone has any specific questions or looking to learn more with, especially maybe some of the new features such as playbooks. Um, Kind of before I get started. No? Okay. Well, I'll start from more of a high level then, and kind of, I've got a few different. We're going to use some of our PCR account for majority of this, but I will kind of show you some of the other features that are included that we don't have within our account that we've used with clients, and some of the more, some of the enterprise accounts that are using HubSpot CRM with 130 plus people. Um, so as everyone kind of can recognize, this is the contact record that is living in HubSpot, as Drew kind of mentioned earlier, customizing and kind of gathering all the correct information on the left hand side, and having that information live right here. As many of you know, this is probably the information that's collected through contact forms, or you're manually inputting it. What's cool is kind of this is more of the behavioral data that you'll start seeing and being compiled based on email communication, website visits, content that they're browsing. And then, this is where they've added all of these features, probably in the last 2 years, of for you to be able to manually collect information, whether you want to take notes on somebody, track emails or email directly, log emails directly um, within HubSpot. Calls, he had shown that feature on the deck that allows you to take phone calls via your computer and have it recorded and logged automatically, which is really cool. I think it depends, on the sales process and the capabilities too, and kind of what your team's comfortable with. Is a little bit of a challenge that we've come across when we onboard large teams is what is going to be tracked in here. And just so everyone knows, there's so many different settings that they allow now, especially as you get to some of the higher tiers of privacy settings, team views, and making sure that information that needs to stay within certain teams or certain divisions of the company, you're allowed to do that now, which, was a big pain point probably at least last year when we were onboarding larger clients and larger teams is, who's going to have access to this information. And HubSpot really focused on that in the last year of really allowing you to, keep things private and kind of gather and onboard people with certain restrictions, which is nice. We'll focus a little bit on that. I'll kind of show you where you can set that up as well in the account. But tasks also, we have a lot of people who use Asana and Trello and different task managements on top of HubSpot, where if you're living and kind of breathing HubSpot right now, especially in terms of contact management, I highly recommend this. It's really easy to use. It integrates so nicely with Slack, with your email. It more than anything kind of keeps you organized on top of some of the items that, HubSpot already notifies you for. Kind of allows you to keep track of, tasks that might fall outside of some of the communication as well. And then Drew had mentioned setting up meetings is such an easy, easy thing to set up. I've kind of got an example right here that one of our HubSpot reps, in all of their signatures meet with me. I mean, this avoids having to go with the back and forth of scheduling meetings, sending Zoom links. As Drew mentioned, it's not his biggest strength, scheduling meetings, and this makes it easy to kind of put something on his calendar, get something booked. This is a feature included in the sales accounts, right here. It's probably 2 clicks to get it set up. It sends you the links, and then you have control over everything. This is definitely one of my new favorite features in the past year that's been added. But, from an overall standpoint, this is, the contact record that everyone's familiar with kind of the data, and everything's being stored in here. You can see a few email communications that are automatically being populated from my email address. We've got the company who, gets associated to the record automatically, which is nice, allows you to preview it. HubSpot does pre-collect all of this data right here to give you an oversight of, the type of company, but then also allows you to see attachments and anything that's been involved. Another really cool thing is, everyone who's associated with this company, this comes in handy on that sales side, knowing all the contacts you have associated with larger companies. Right here on this deal stage, this is kind of, bread and butter of the deal. So I'm gonna go ahead and create just, as if I had been nurturing this contact, adding a deal. I'm gonna go ahead and put it in just like a test one that we've got. Again, this can all be customized, what you're collecting on the right-hand side. We'll just say this is new business and the company, and go ahead and create it. And this right here is, this now takes away from the contact record and puts you onto a deal record, which allows, any communication or any progress that you had with the contact and information to stay on that record. But knowing that if there's more than one deal, especially that will happen within a contact, move all the new communication and kind of the updates and the proposals to this new deal. Again, it looks just like the contact record, just like the company record, very easy to use, and you can start collecting information here. I think depending on your sales process, this is where we always, kind of make tweaks and fine tune it, on how to organize all of the information and determining what information lives where. I think it's a personal preference, and it really kind of has to come down to how you've got the current sales process set up. But we've got, the attachments and tickets, which is associated with the service tool. Drew kind of focused on that just lightly with live chats coming in, people asking for help, especially if there are leads coming in asking for upgrades. The quotes tab he had mentioned, adding product line to your quotes is really easy as well. So, again, it's just, all in one big picture kind of right here. Are there any questions so far? I know it's probably something everyone's probably seen. Okay. So, obviously this is the deal view, which lives, right here underneath. This is new. I don't know if this has appeared yet in everybody's account, but this basically allows you to, group deals that are likely to close. So if you need to kind of get a more clear picture of what to project and what's coming in, this allows you to collect all of those deals, put them into forecasts, and even allow you to start gathering information that could be missing from those deals to kind of move those along a little bit quicker. So this might be not yet appearing in everyone's accounts, but this is definitely a new tool right here. So from this deal stage view, obviously, you've got the drag and drop that allows you to kind of move deals along the pipeline. Depending on the accounts you can have multiple deals. You've got different team members with different stages. I highly recommend you adding different ones. What's great about this view is, one, it's easy to digest and see and kind of get a clear picture of where everything is. But then you can also, filter based on the information collecting the deal. So if you want to know only deals who are owned by a specific contact owner, you could do that. Or if you want to know, the amount of everything coming in, you could only, collect that information and change this entire viewpoint within a few seconds. Deal owner, create date, these are always kind of the standard ones. But then you can save the view too. So if you've got, 7 to 10 properties you want to filter and kind of keep that view for the month, go ahead and save it and allow you to kind of pull it up quicker. Under this edit stages, this is kind of the where you'll find a lot of the capabilities of the deal stages. So knowing that you can create custom properties to go along with the deals. The properties that your team sees, you probably recognize a lot of these. I mean, these are the same amount of, functionality that you get with contacts and companies. So, if you're comfortable with managing contacts and companies within your portal, know that deals are very similar and have the same kind of flexibility and capabilities that you would, building a contact profile. This kind of allows you to select which pipeline you want to change or edit. And then, this is as easy as, building out each stage yourself and kind of the probability of, those winning. The automation. So this is where, when Drew was showing the shot of kind of what package you get with Starter, Professional, Enterprise. And, I'll be the first to say it gets a little squirrely with the features included. You'll notice that with templates you can use and documents that you can import, you get up to 5, and then you might have to upgrade to a different package. So I always recommend at least starting from a bottom package and really understanding what your needs are and testing, and then kind of start making that wish list item of, if this was the perfect CRM for our team, what functionalities do we need? And then, HubSpot Rep can kind of help you determine what package would be best, because it does get a little overwhelming. Automation is included with the starter, but you'll notice that you get limited functionality when it comes to automation. So creating a task and sending internal notifications are the common ones, and you get like a few of the delays. But I will say, if you want to start doing external communication, this is like a professional feature. So say, we went ahead and an intro was made, this is when that deal was created. I want to go ahead and remind myself to follow up with that person immediate, and then let's just, pull in the name of who that person was. We'll say, let's do it, 3 days later. So then this is going to happen. Anytime that somebody comes in, I'm going to get reminded, okay, now it's time for me to follow up with this person 3 days later. Say the call's booked, they booked a call, we can go ahead and send them a confirmation email. This pulls directly from your email templates. So you'd have to have that pre-created. So you can go ahead and add that external email to this deal stage. But again, this is how easy it is to set up automation within the pipelines. Once knowing that something comes here, you've got all this functionality, even sending internal text messaging. to kind of notify yourself or update items. It's a little less intimidating than actually building workflows, in my opinion. Are there any questions? I know this is kind of a lot to digest at once. Are there any questions regarding the automation capabilities within deals? Okay. So meetings, I had shown this awesome feature of, how easy it is to set up the meeting links within your account and putting it on your email. That's living kind of right here under, this meetings tab, which is really good. So creating a meeting link, personal team, you can go ahead and get started. It connects for you immediately. It's really easy to use. The functionality is amazing. Um, Documents. So this is actually a really cool tool, especially if you're sending a lot of PDFs and a lot of information out in terms of you're not directing them back to the website and you're not being able to track like links that they're clicking on. So it allows you to import, and again, here's one of the 2 out of 5 we get. And these are just screenshot examples, but if you've imported these documents into your HubSpot and then you want to go ahead and create links for them, it will start storing all of the data based on visitors, views, what links have been created to these documents. So it just gives you another layer of data that could be missing with some of the emails you're sending with PDFs, brochures, pictures, anything else that you could be sending. It's just one more way to capture more data and kind of store that information into HubSpot, and then ultimately store that, for sales purposes on their contact record. I definitely think it's an underutilized feature and not talked about as much, but it's found kind of right here under the sales tab. So playbooks, this is new, and this was announced here recently at the conference in gosh, I guess it was September or October this year. So this is a new functionality called playbooks. You do need a sales professional account. But I wanted to show you the functionality to just give you an idea of what it is. It basically is almost scripts for your sales team. So knowing that if you're trying to collect specific information for contact records, it allows you to do that in a very easy, quick, digestible way, especially if they're collecting this information over the phone. So it lives right here. This is a contact record, myself. It lives right on the right hand side and allows you to build like pre-populated questions that the sales team who's calling on these records will just start collecting information and storing it and saving it on the record. You've got it does allow you to copy these over to properties as well, which is nice. So if you need to build workflows off of it or segment contacts based on the information they're collecting, you're allowed to do that. It's just nice because it organizes it and kind of guides a conversation for the sales team, in a very streamlined way. We've actually got a lot of clients asking about it, and we've launched it for a few people, which has been going really well. Like, I think especially in terms of training, it allows you to easily say use this playbook on the right hand side for the goal of hitting these revenues, or the focus for the month is going to be these products, and you kind of pre-build this and allow them to kind of take it and run with it. So that's kind of on the front end of what it looks like for the sales team, but on the back end, it's just as easy to build these out, just in HubSpot fashion, and it allows you to just kind of click and do these modules, and allows you to do open field text, custom preset of custom answers where they're multiple check. Again, if they're on quick conversations and they're trying to get as much information as they can, this is a really easy way to do it. Any questions regarding playbooks? And as Drew had mentioned a little bit earlier too, the quotes tab. really great. They now integrate so nicely with e-signature. About 2 years ago, you weren't able to collect signatures, which was a huge, kind of hindering the sales process. But these are very easy to use quotes. They're not for everybody, and I think the biggest challenge onboarding and kind of introducing HubSpot quotes is that your quote process is already most likely in place. So to onboard something and change it is going to be kind of a big conversation within your companies. But they are very easy to use. They're very professional. They look great. We're going to pull one up, and I'm sure there's limited information on some of these deals, but it allows you to put in the information that you need, allow you to do purchase terms, allows them to download the quote, print the quote. This is all obviously customized to how you want it to look. I can just show you a little bit of how it kind of pre-fills in. And then you assign it to the record that you want it to. You can add the company as well, so it starts collecting on all the information. And then it goes right to these are the line items that you can do. Has anybody used product library yet within the HubSpot CRM? Again, it seems very intimidating. But I definitely recommend kind of playing around with it. You do have to be pretty streamlined in terms of what you're offering, but I always just recommend going ahead playing with it. Again, you're a little limited. This is kind of the only information you can capture. But if you're looking for something professional and easy and you want to stay within HubSpot, I highly recommend kind of testing out the quote tool and bringing it in. I know I kind of ran over because we wanted to save 10 minutes for questions and answers, but does anybody have any specific questions or anything that I missed in terms of some of the functionality and of HubSpot sales and some of the new tools that have been brought in? No? Okay. Well, Drew, are you still?
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you wanted to cover, or?
No, I don't think so. I mean, yeah, we're always available for questions. Then, as always, too, we'll have the kind of follow up, and there is that course that we mentioned with the frictionless selling that it even has a test at the end to kind of like test your knowledge. So that'll be included along with the kind of presentation that we covered today. And if you have other stuff that kind of comes up, or you just want to even like ping us, like we're really just here to be a big advocate of the the HubSpot both sales and marketing kind of hub. We have a lot of experience with it, so as things kind of come up, let us know. And yeah, I think more than anything, just have a great kind of happy holidays, great rest of the year, and we'll look out for the next kind of hug that we'll do come sometime in Q1. But we appreciate everybody making time today out of kind of their lunch hour, and hopefully it was somewhat kind of valuable, and excited to see everyone again in a few months.
Thanks, Drew. This was great.
All right, thanks everyone. Have a
Thank
great rest
you.
of the day.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.